Hey, Richard, it's Jim. How are you? Thank you for your good wishes. I actually had two birthday parties, if you can believe that. One on Friday night was 20 to 25 people, and one on Saturday night with a different group of people, about 25 or 30. So I've been a busy boy. Hey, Richard, it's me. Watermelon and mango are both fine. They're good fruits. I should tell you I'm going to Santa Cruz for the next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, so I won't be around. But I'll be back on Friday, by Friday morning. So sounds like you're doing great. I'm so happy about it. Take care, bro. Bye-bye. Hey, Richard and Flo, it's Jim. And I see the oncologist today at 10:15, and after that I might need to go back to the hospital for some blood transfusions because I'm very, very, very weak. I'm still losing blood internally. I passed a black stool this morning, which means loss of blood in the upper GI. So that's the story, babe. If you call later today and I don't respond, it may be because I'm just in the hospital. It's Petaluma Valley Hospital. Thank you so much for your message yesterday, and I really appreciate it. And we'll talk later if that's possible. Okay, take care, man. Bye-bye.
He greatly supported me in building my health foundation, which was rather fragile at that time. He taught me to look outside the box. I was going to a regular doctor, and he taught me about True North, which is still existing. It's the Health and Healing Institute in Santa Rosa. He actually took me up there, and we visited, and I became a patient or a client up there for 2 weeks. And at that time I learned about the alkaline diet and the toxicity of the sugar trap. It has remained with me to this day, for I am totally pain-free, so I am rocking on 2 fake hips. He kept at me with, let's go eat broccoli, and I think broccoli was his favorite food. And then it became red cabbage. But because of this man and his books and his gentle urging, I now have no concern about what my dietary needs are. I so love the part in the film where they talk about the cows and how much admission is let out by a cow. So I hope we'll all remember that the next time we're driving by the field of cows out there. The second part of Jimmy's influence on me was my spiritual direction. There's never a dull moment in an idle chat with Jimmy. So the conversation would usually come around to, so how is your life? What is it doing for you? And what are you doing for life? My memories of sitting at the kitchen table with Jimmy, and he would be doing the cadence for gate, gate, para gate, para sum gate. No, Ben, you're going way too fast. So he'd slow me up, and I'm serious. He made me do this chant over and over, maybe 10 to 12 times until I got it. I will remember Jimmy from this day on in being a very positive, searching person. He was indeed a seeker. And he also had the courage and the discipline to put his thoughts to a body of work. Thank you.
Okay.
You can be wherever. You
Okay,
can go
I'll
wherever
just
you
stay
want.
here.
Great
I'll be here
friends.
with you.
Okay.
Jimmy loved parties. And so he'd be really, I'm sure he is very happy right now. And he was always saying, you know, I'm going to have a party, Richard. And he would always come to my parties, our parties. This is my wife Lorraine here. And that's where a lot of us would gather. It was about the only time we got to see Jimmy, because the other thing he loved was working. And so actually we're all sitting right now in a temple. There's a, 108 is a special number in my Buddhist lineage. They say how many Buddhas are in our body right now. It has a number of meanings, and 108 is his address. And that was never lost on me, that I was showing up to hang out with the Buddha when I would come here. And so I just want us all to take a deep breath in and be here. And be with Jimmy, because the thing perhaps he loved most beyond parties and working was us. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you're here because whenever you're with him, you could feel how much he loved you. And so he is so happy that all of his most of his nearest and dearest friends are here. And I'd just like to include those that aren't. You might know a few of his friends who weren't able to make it, or family. And yeah, so she's going to read some emails from those folks. I always felt when I was with Jimmy that I was the only person in the world. It was just so like, this connection. And he always made me feel so special and loved. And, I have a lot of concerns about what's happening in the world. And he would talk with me about those. We shared a lot of the same perspectives. And even though, we both could maybe commiserate about the world going to hell in a handbasket, I always felt better because he had this perspective about it that was like, everything's going to be fine. Like, yeah, so, and that gave me a great deal of peace, without being Pollyanna about where things are, where they might be going, and what we need to do about it. And obviously there was no one harder at work on what we should do about it than him. When he passed away, he was 12 scripts through a 24-script TV series. I mean, they were done in the can, which I'm sure you know all about and can tell us more about. Hopefully this movie and that TV series and whatever else we can get out around Jim Sloman will hopefully get out to more than just us folks. And he was just such a nut. I mean, he was a complete and utter nutter. And it was just so every time he'd say, I'm going to have a party, I would laugh. I would say, yeah, right, Jamie. And it was a wonderful laugh we had. And I just supported him to do his thing, which he was a cruise missile about. The world is a better place for that. So, he was really, really, really pissed about this event. He was not happy to, even though he spent a great deal of his existence meditating on his mortality, and you can see it on YouTube. He talks at length about, there's some really great videos of him talking about what a good practice it is to meditate upon death. He was really, really pissed off that this was happening right when he was like, you know, in the middle of the greatest work of his life. And you know, I told him, man, you're going to continue this. I mean, you know, this will get continued in a fresh baby body, like, you know, like that little critter there. And it's not a problem. And, you know, and he's created enough of it so that people like Todd can go on with that work. And we definitely need that to happen. So, yeah, so I just, I know he's here, and he's listening to everything I'm saying and everything that everybody is feeling. He has no limits, so he can go into our hearts as he was able to do in his body as well. He can just do it all at once. He's a little more intelligent at this moment than being slowed down by the body and digestion and all that stuff slows us down. So I know he's here and he's feeling us, and this is going to be a good party. He would love us to be enjoying ourselves and eating those wonderful tangerines and hugging each other and looking each other in the eye and celebrating love. That was what it was all about. So that's what I got to say.
What would it take to put this out in the way that Jimmy wanted to? And what are the prospects of that happening?
I don't know that, but perhaps Todd, you can talk to Todd about it, and he might.
Or maybe Todd could talk to all of us.
Well, maybe let's finish the service. Yeah. Some people are willing to leave early.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thanks, Ardella. So, my name's Jennifer, and I met Jimmy, I don't know, about 18 years ago maybe, at Unity Church. And I'm looking over here because Rebecca, I think is the reason I met Jimmy. She's the reason I met him and a bunch of people in this room. And so we became actually much closer friends, I believe, after we both sort of left Unity. But when he sent out that link as his Christmas gift and made a comment about his health, I didn't even look at the link. I honestly haven't even listened to it because all I saw was health challenge, and I got on the phone and called him to find out what the heck was going on. So just for my part, I want to say I've been incredibly honored to be here for the last, I guess, 8 weeks. I live in Marin, but I've spent at least half of my life here for the last 8 weeks with Bev and taking care of our boy up until his last breath. So we cried and we laughed a lot. We laughed a lot. So anyway, what I wanted to read to you is just a few emails, because what I always appreciate about going to memorials, especially even if I know the person well, is to hear about how other people know that person. You know, I only have one angle on the person, and I've been reading these emails, and I only got, I think, about 5 or so, and they're very, very moving. So I'm going to read a few. And this one comes from a woman named Joan Elliott. She says, "How I wish I could be with you all to celebrate Jim's amazing life, but that is not possible for me. However, I would so very much appreciate you reading the enclosed message about our relationship. I will include a photo of the two of us the summer we met in 1960. Also a couple of other photos Jim sent me after our reconnection. His senior picture, and another from 1955 when he must have been 12. And I'll leave these
around the clock.
So she says, "My name is Joan Elliott. I met Jim in the summer of 1960. We both had been selected for a 6-week program for gifted students at the State University of New York. We took college classes, but for the most part, the students just interacted with each other, 18 guys, 18 girls. Jim and I fell madly in love and dated the whole summer. We ate and studied together, listened to music, practiced piano, and met in the quadrangle at night. where looking up at the stars and even in Aurora Borealis one night, we shared our dreams for the future. We kept in touch for quite a while after the summer was over, but in time our letters ceased. Every year I thought of him on December 2nd, his birthday, and wondered where he was and what he was doing. In 2006, I did a Google search for him and discovered on Amazon that he had written many books. I ordered one just to verify the identity. In the back of the book was a photo of Jim. I looked at it as tears streamed down my face. I got Jim's email, sent him a message along with a photo of the two of us, and he called me. That was the beginning of an 8-year communication that included many phone calls and emails, as well as my editing several of his books. Sadly, we never did get together, always promising that the next year would be the one that one of us would make the trip. I live in St. Louis. When Jim called to tell me of his illness, I was saddened beyond words. I pray that Jim is in a place that is worthy of the time and attention he gave to saving our planet and making this world a better place. I will miss Jim deeply, and I will never forget the bond that we forged so many years ago. That was really quite a surprise, so many things I don't know about somebody. A man named Charles said, Jim has been my friend since he moved to 7th Street in Petaluma, the kindest man I know, and perhaps the smartest. My life is better for knowing Jim. Roy Young, a man that I was asked to contact, hadn't seen Jim in 20 or 30 years. He wrote, I won't read you everything. He said, I deeply regret that I will not be there. Jimmy and I met 35 years ago living on the same floor at Sherwin-on-the-Lakes in Chicago. Jim's friendship was a gift from God. He was a genius that relentlessly worked to share knowledge with the ambition to heal. His contagious laughter and humor did heal, and something that I know has earned him a very large set of wings on the next level. Jimmy upheld the purest constitution of unconditional love. We will all miss him very much. I think he will be at home during the memorial in spirit to see your smiles and wipe the tears away, and he will be giving invisible hugs. Patricia from Virginia said, Jimmy and I never met. Our relationship consisted of a few phone conversations, but I can say in all honesty that I see him as the sweet, kind, gentle, loving, and generous person, always doing the best he knew to do, wanting to be happy and wanting the other to be happy. And then a woman named Carol, so I have two more. When I think of Jim, what comes to mind is his fun-loving humor, quick wit, incredible intelligence, and his dedication to make a positive change for the planet. All of us close to him know that his greatest desire was to get his work out there and help bring about this change. Most recently, Jim spoke at the Center for Spiritual Living, giving a talk on the spiritual dimensions of our planetary crisis. He also had hopes of making a documentary on this. When I first heard this recorded talk, and even before knowing of his illness, I was in awe by his brilliant and compassionate message. I shared with him, you have to broadcast this. So despite his illness, he broadcasted it with all his passion, heartfelt commitment, and devotion to give back for the betterment of Earth and humanity. With love and many thanks for Jim, for who you are and all you've done. Your insights and inspirations continue on in the memory of all who know you. And then the last one I have is another man that I tracked down that hasn't been, I don't think he and Jim have seen each other for many years. Much sooner than any of us would have expected, Jim has left us and gone on a new journey. To those of us whose association goes back 50 years, Journeys was what Jim's life was about. Forging a path to self-understanding, exploring a humane and sympathetic understanding of life, and encouraging us to come along. He and I met at the wedding of my boarding school roommate, who was an eating club Princeton friend of Jim's.
Love to eat.
Jim and I both had bruises, if not scars, from our mutual friend. With this kinship, Jim and I became fast friends as we both found ourselves in New York City in the summer of 1965 in the mad world of Madison Avenue and Mad Men. Jim was an advertising copywriter, and I was a magazine ad salesman. New York City was fertile with women, but due to the Vietnam War buildup, the city was void of men our age. He and I enjoyed many good times and early beginnings of his lifelong search for self-understanding was evident. We not only enjoy our friends, but also learn from them. To me, Jim showed us how to search and struggle, how to pursue and persist, how to resist and create. Not one to accept the commonplace or convention, he pioneered onward and sought to bring us along. His numerous mourners are testament to his success, and I join you in remembering and suffering at our loss. That's from David Long. So, I know this is going on a little long, but I'd love it if anybody wants to share any stories or little interactions with Jimmy that we otherwise won't hear about.
I like it. Jimmy was, I would say, the best of times and the worst of times for me in a lot of ways.
Karen, they can't hear you. Could you stand over there and
But what he taught me was unconditional love because I truly, truly loved him. And he taught me how to laugh. And we had a lot of fun. And we were really, really good friends. Above all, we were really good friends. And that's what I miss most is my friend. We talked every single day, sometimes 3 times a day. He called me his lifeline. You know, I was a little more grounded than he, which is not saying much. And I just, you know, I mean, I loved talking to him. I mean, I was with those scripts, and you know, it's almost like a journey every weekend, listening to where he was in the stories, and you know, he just finished the hominins, and it was an amazing journey, and I really miss him.
thanks. Joyce, do you want to?
Yeah, I probably have known Jimmy the least of anybody. I met Jimmy, I'm a practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living in Santa Rosa, and I lead a Wisdom Circles and Networking group, and he started coming, and he talked to me about, do you think I could come and speak about spiritual dimensions? So I'm trying to choke up, but anyhow, he came and we met, and I said, God, yes, come. And so we set him up. He came last September, and he was so, he's got so inspired from the talk that he told me he was going to be getting it, taping it, and getting it out into the world, and he just couldn't wait to come back. So we had him set up to come back in March. And then I was going to be working with Reverend Edward, our minister, to have him do, you know, share this movie or something, because I felt, I mean, I barely knew him, and I knew this man is something special, that he's doing some amazing work for this planet, and I just felt so gifted and blessed to have met him. And so I said, we've got to figure out how to get your work not just to this little 50 people coming to this meeting, but we got to get it to the church, which has over 1,000 members. And I said, we got to get this up there, show it. We got to meet with Reverend Edward. So we had all kinds of plans. And I just, when I heard, because I was checking in on him, like, he wasn't at the January meeting, and he was coming to all my meetings once a month.
When you were emailing, and he obviously couldn't email back, so I was responding on his behalf. And
I didn't
I
realize. I didn't know. I had no idea that he was even sick. So I was just, you know, yeah. So anyhow, I feel very honored that you invited me and let me come, because I felt like I was, you know, the saint. I mean, he always called me his little angel. And I was so touched by that. I don't know if he called everybody his angel, but
I didn't read that because you're here.
Yeah.
And I laughed when I read that part because he called everybody
his angel. I said that. I said he probably called everybody that, but somebody was saying about he made you just feel loved and just, he was so complimentary, so loving, and such a gentle, when he gave his talk, I said, this has got to get out to the world, because he wasn't beating you up. That to me was what needed to get out there, because everybody else is just, it's like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And he just had a way, it was magical. And I just said, oh, we got to have him back. He was going to come in March. And again, I'm so touched by him and the short time I got to know him. So thank you.
Michael.
Oh, well, I met Jim about 30 years ago in Unity Church in Chapel Hill. And we became friends, and he came out to California probably a year before I came out. And so he kind of helped pave the way for me. And, when he was in Chapel Hill, Durham, North Carolina, he wanted to change his name because he didn't really feel that last name Sloman, his mother's maiden name was Grace, apparently. He loved that name. And he got really close to changing it. Like, he went to a hotel with a lady friend, staying over, and he signed his name in the book he was telling me about, James Grace. And he really liked that, And he was like, do you think I should, always bouncing that back and forth. And I'm glad he didn't change his name. He kept who he really was instead of putting something on top of it, really, that he liked, but nevertheless. And he used to like to take me out to restaurants, and, it was always his treat, which was really nice. And, we just had he was my go-to guy for all the advice, romantic advice or, professional advice, or all the things that you would turn to a best friend for. He may have had 100 best friends, but I considered him to be one of mine. And I don't know, I just really appreciate how kind and loving, he was, and how he would say, I feel like I can say anything to you. And so he would, and like I would be, commiserating about my looks or something, and he'd say, I think you should get down on your knees and thank God for your looks. Which is like, oh, yeah, that's right. He could really speak my language, even if it wasn't his, and in the same way. And but at the end of his life, I gave him a bath the last time I saw him, and afterward he said, you should brush your teeth. I'm telling you this just so that you would have a more comfortable relationship with the person I was telling you about. And I said, thank you. He had told me that before, but he said, and with mouthwash too. So, I think this is one of the last things he said to me. He's just a wonderful, mighty, mighty man. So, thank you, Jim.
Angel, Sharon Angel.
All right. So I met Jimmy 20 years ago at Unity in Marin, a number of people, in 1994, when we had both moved to Marin from various places in the country. And I'll never forget, in the lobby at Unity in Marin, where we met, him asking me one of the very first things after, hi, how are you, nice to see you. He asked me a question. And his question was, if you had one day to live, what would you do? Time, money, none of that mattered. What would you do? And I said to Jimmy, I would have a big party. And I guess that's why we stayed friends all these years. Because as we know, Jimmy likes to have parties. And he must have really loved my answer. And we just became fast friends. From that moment, he said, I've written a book. Do you want to see it? Sure. We went out to his car. He opened up his trunk. You had that experience? Do you want to see my book? Yes. We went to lunch after that, and the conversation continued.
Was I born at that time?
No.
Was I born at that time?
Jimmy was at my wedding almost 8 years ago, and we have since moved on to San Diego, my husband and son. And, you know, when I talked with him in January, it was the end of December. That was our last phone call. And then I had a miracle happen where I got to see him just 10 days, almost 2 weeks before he passed away. And an opportunity came up for me to come to this area from San Diego, and I took it, and I thought, perfect, I'm going to go see Jimmy. And so what I want to just share with you is his words, and he probably said it, you know, to all of you as well, but I just feel like it's so important to bring this point, you know, as he called everyone angel. I don't know if he called the men angel. But
He tried. He tried.
I found it in emails.
He tried.
Yes.
Real hard he
He
tried.
called me angel, and I loved it. And I find myself calling, you know, I call my son angel, and I use that, and I think of Jimmy when I call people angel, and I feel more and more to use it freely, you know. And what he said to me, you know, he was saying to me in the phone call, and then in the time when I came with Lorraine, that during the phone call he had a lot more energy at that time, and he said, you know, over and over, he said, you know, he just commenting on, you know, you have such a good life, and he's so happy for me that you know, my dreams have come true, and he was just saying, keep, you know, live it up, keep living for me, go out, have fun, celebrate, you know, enjoy life, seize the day, and I take that, and I really do, that has been my mantra since having that conversation with him, is just seizing the day, every moment, seeing every moment as so precious and alive, and an opportunity, that every moment is a gift and an opportunity to live and love. And so that's the message that I wanted to share.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I'd like to say one thing that he said to me when he was sick. He just got his diagnosis, and he was very soulful and, you know, in shock. But he looked around at all his books, and he said, it doesn't seem so important now. He says, it's like my current events doesn't seem important. He says, striving doesn't seem important. He said, the only thing that is important is love. Yeah.
You are blessed. You are forgiven. You are an angel. You have to listen.
Sounds like Jimmy.
And you have to forgive all the time. Listen that you're loved. And forgive all the time. You are love. Farewell, my son. Farewell, my daughter. Farewell, my father. Farewell, my mother. Farewell, my sister. Farewell, my brother. Thank you for letting me love you. Thank you for letting yourself be loved. God bless you.
before I die. Want to taste honeysuckle wine directly from the vine. See a unicorn with garlands on his horn. Want to find a lonesome puppy, make him feel so lucky he found me. Before I die, want to hold an ounce of starlight, save some tangled scarlet kite. Make the most of what I am, live the best life that I can. Want to do something, leave a mark behind. Be remembered by a little child as kind, if only in his mind. Want to know that thanks to God above, someone loves me, who I love just once. Before